I know the centres have to be somewhere, but I think if the government or the county council told people that they were in the town, people would be a bit more understanding. We only found out this week that there's a refugee centre now up in my daughter's school, in the convent up in Loretto. It was put up on Facebook that they were put in over the summer, nobody was told. The convent is connected to the school, so there was great concern. We didn't know who was in this refugee centre or whether it was families, men, women, no, nothing. Not that it doesn't make a difference, but I felt we should have been told because the school has a care of duty to our daughters and we weren't told anything, still haven't been told.
Well, I don't have a problem. We live next door to a direct provision on the seafront and we never have any problems with anybody in it. So, people have to live somewhere and they're coming from bad situations, so that's just my opinion anyway.
And there's now 5 in the town, I believe. Do you think that's too many? Is it appropriate?
Well, I'm not sure. I don't know where the 5 are. I just know the one that's beside me. I don't know if there's any trouble in any of the other ones. I've never heard of any problems.
A resident from one of them was recently charged with an unprovoked attack on another resident. How does that make you feel?
Well, I don't know the circumstances, you see, so it's hard to comment when I don't know the circumstances. Was it an attack on one of the people that were staying there?
Yes.
Well, that could happen in anything. It could happen then if there was a homeless place for just Irish people. You could have the same thing happening, couldn't you?
I think it's great that we're trying to help people, but I don't think it's great that other nationalities are being housed when there is a really bad housing crisis at the moment. Like myself trying to get a house. I've plenty of friends, family, there's plenty of homeless people out there, and I just think the government should be looking after the Irish before they look after others. And there's no, they're not coming out and saying about these direct provisions. They are just letting the people in and they're saying that they're Ukrainian families when we've seen that they're actually Georgian men walking around.
First of all, I think it's good that there's Ukrainian refugees coming into this country. An awful lot of people think it's wrong. I think we should be doing our bit. I think we should have done more when it came to the Iraqis and when it came to the Syrians. That's what I believe. They are fellow human beings. I don't think we should be getting hung up on tribalism. I think we should be keeping our distance. An awful lot of people go on about internationalism, but ultimately they're nationalistic. And I think we should be, you see, so I'm going to start with that foundation, from that premise. Now, as regards the refugee centres, I didn't realise there was 5 here in Bray, and I think it's very underhand that the government and the state departments didn't tell the people of Bray and the other towns and other villages up and down this country, and I think it's really unfair. They really should be engaging with the people. You should be upfront with the people.
I think they possibly have taken in too many, because I think if we can't look after the amount of refugees we take in, then it's not right to keep taking them in. I think if we're taking in a certain amount, then they certainly should be given proper accommodation.
You're aware that there are now 5 refugee centres in Bray. What do you think about that in general?
I think it's sad that there has to be 5 refugee centres in Bray, but again, people have to live, and if we've taken in refugees into the country, I think we have an obligation to look after them.
Do you think the government is doing enough to control who's coming in claiming asylum in Ireland, to make sure that they're actually genuine asylum seekers?
No, they're not doing enough at all. They should be doing really tighter controls. I mean, my heart goes out to people that are genuine people that are trying to come into the country and get help, and there's a lot of facilities here for them to help them along. But unfortunately, unless it's controlled, we're going to get everybody and anybody in here, and it's not fair. Not fair on those people that are really suffering,
What would you like to see the government do specifically to tackle the issue of people who are not genuine asylum seekers coming in?
It's a bit like border control. I mean, vet them and check them and see where they've come from. And if they don't come up to a criteria, don't let them in, send them back. It's only, you'll know the difference if somebody's coming in here with a couple of children and they're coming in from a war-torn country where they've really suffered hardship and waking up with bombs blown up around them. I mean, there's a big difference from that person than somebody who's just taking a chance of coming into the country,
I know it was the plan of the current coalition to get rid of them. I'm actually a member of the Green Party, and one of their platforms at the last election was to get rid of all of the direct provision centres. And I live in Wicklow, and we still have a large one there, at least one. So I am aware of it, and I'm to be honest, quite disgusted that it hasn't changed, and I think it's something that needs to be done. It's overdue, and I'm really upset about the lack of human rights given to people who've come to us and who end up in direct provision. There are some people who've been there for years.
How do you feel when you hear there's another direct provision centre going in the Loreto convent?
Well, to be honest, like, it's a lot of young girls in there, and we've been told by the convent themselves and TDs that it's Ukrainian families going in, but I've seen evidence on Facebook that a girl has asked men. They said they're from Georgia and they're staying in the convent. Number one, that is a school full of very, very young girls, and they're also trying to say that the school and the convent are not connected. I'm a past pupil of Loreto. I know there is connections. There's more than one door. There's more than one entrance. There's videos gone around of pupils sitting in their classroom, and they have a video that they can see a man sitting in his room, so they can see the girls in their classroom. And I just think it's very, very unfair that they have been put so close to a school, and then there's another school just around the corner from it as well. So it's just too close to home.
And how has the influx of people, has it affected the amenities here in Bray, the availability of services, for example?
Yeah, so basically, like, people trying to get houses, they're housing everybody else above us. All the schools and all are full. Like, I have a 2-year-old boy. I was very, very lucky to get him into creche, but a lot of people can't get their kids into school, and they're making spaces for non-nationals. And then what are we supposed to do with our children? They'll have nowhere to go. So there is a lot going on, and they're making us out to be racist, and it's not a racist thing. It's look after your own before you open your doors to everybody else. That's all it is. Just look after your Irish. There's so many out on the streets, and that's it really.